Preface. In this course, we will study Samatha and Vipassanā. I'm not sure if you have experience in meditative concentration. By watching the breath, we can swiftly enter concentration. No matter how heavy your afflictions are, you can quickly enter concentration. Just focus on your breath. Count from 1 to 10, and then from 10 back to 1. Usually, you will just fall asleep. The origin of the Dharma. In the 7th century, the Dharma was introduced into Tibet. Later, Langdarma, a king of Tibet, destroyed the Buddhist teachings. In 1042, Atisha was invited to Tibet from India. The Dharma we study actually originates from India. Why? Padmasambhava stayed in India for 1,800 years, and Atisha was also Indian. What we study is the authentic teachings passed down by Buddha Shakyamuni. During the time of Master Shangzang, around the 8th century, the esoteric teachings were already flourishing in India. By the time of Atisha, around the year 1000, the esoteric teachings were especially thriving there. Later, as the Dharma declined in India, great masters relocated the entire Dharma to Tibet as if moving their home. Since war caused the Dharma to move southward, very little of it remained in India. Atisha gave teachings on the methods of Samatha and Vipassanā meditation, which can be found in his book Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment. In this text, he said that to practice tranquility or Samatha meditation, favorable conditions are required. Without these conditions, even diligent practice over many years will not lead to genuine samatha. He also stated that if all favourable conditions are present and one concentrates the mind on something good and positive, one will be able to accomplish samatha meditation and develop clairvoyant powers. The following are the conditions for meditation practice. In the second volume of the Stages of Meditation, Kamalashila said, one should reside in a favourable place, a place where one can obtain the materials one needs. That is, one can sustain oneself. In terms of the mind, one should not have a great deal of desire. One should live a simple life without too many desires or demands, such as thinking, I need a certain number of clothes or a particular environment. One must be content, which means one is satisfied with whatever one has. One should give up activities such as business or buying and selling. It is nearly impossible for those engaged in business to practice meditation because as soon as they sit down, their minds begin to calculate how much money was made today, how much will be spent tomorrow. So they can hardly practice meditation. One has pure, good conduct. The foundation of the 10 virtues is essential. Meditation practice also requires the 10 virtues, and ideally the 4 immeasurables as well. All conditions listed here are necessary. When one meditates in this place, it is completely correct and appropriate. One should also avoid any distractions and desires that arise, as well as ideas and concepts. In the ornament of the Mahayana Sutras, Maitreya said, "We should practice in a place where we can easily obtain necessities such as food and clothing." In our community, for example, we cannot travel too far to get daily necessities, especially food, since we need to eat every day. If we have to travel dozens of kilometers back and forth to obtain food, how can we find time for practice? The place where we stay should be free from thieves or any fear of danger. Places with tigers, wolves, jackals, leopards, epidemics, or war are unsuitable. We should stay in a healthy place, not too cold, too hot, or too damp, and that does not harm our health. Meditation practice should not go beyond the limits of your physical endurance. I remember in the past, during winter in the south, it was so cold that all I wanted to do was practice meditation. Truly, in winter, aside from eating and using the restroom, I didn't want to move at all. We also need good companions who share the same view and conduct as ourselves. In other words, we need fellow practitioners. If they have a different view or way of life, they will prevent us from gaining stability of the mind. In particular, fellow practitioners should have similar lifestyles. We should respect others' meditation practice. As novice practitioners, we must take care not to stir others' minds. Please pay attention to this point. Having different lifestyles is not suitable. However, since it is impossible for everyone here to be the same, sometimes practice can be done separately. If you have a specific practice, you can do it in your dormitory or in the meditation hall. The place where we stay should also be free from a lot of activity and a large number of people. These are the outer conditions of where we should stay. The ornament of the Mahayana Sutras, taught by Maitreya, also describes the conditions of the mind, being free from desires, feeling content, and avoiding involvement in too many activities. Finally, it explains the point between the mind and the outer world, which is our conduct or behavior. We should maintain peaceful and gentle conduct in accordance with the Pratimoksa precepts and the Bodhisattva vows. A meditator's mind must be peaceful and steady. Otherwise, even if you develop some concentration, it can easily be disrupted, and no matter how much more you practice, it will be difficult to calm the mind. Those who usually speak loudly, are easily agitated, or have many desires will find it hard to calm down, even after sitting for a long time. Notice how softly I usually speak. This is to support concentration. except when chanting mantras or in special circumstances where a louder voice is needed. Generally, the softer the voice, the better. Our behavior should be peaceful and gentle. We should cultivate this habit. As practitioners, our behavior should be peaceful and gentle, not overly agitated or intense. Otherwise, we will not even be able to sit still. Moreover, studying the precepts is also for the sake of cultivating meditation. The Pratimokkha precepts prohibit actions such as killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. The main point of the precepts is that if we commit any of these negative actions, the mind cannot rest in a natural state of peace. In terms of the Bodhisattva vows, when afflictions such as anger, jealousy, or aversion arise, the mind cannot abide in its natural peaceful state. So, compassion is essential. Those who practice meditation must first cultivate loving kindness and compassion. Even when practicing the 4 dhyanas and 8 concentrations of non-Buddhist paths, the 4 immeasurables are necessary. We must refrain from anger. With anger, it is impossible to enter concentration. How could you possibly attain it? Therefore, we must develop love and compassion for all sentient beings. If this interface between the inner and outer worlds benefits other beings, then the favorable conditions for samatha will arise. When all these conditions are present, practicing samatha becomes easy. Moreover, practicing samatha can help us uphold the precepts. Both the Pratimokkha precepts and the Bodhisattva vows require the power of concentration. There are 4 kinds of samatha meditation. The first is the samatha of the desire realm. One makes the mind so relaxed that it becomes completely stable and peaceful. This is known as the concentration before reaching the form realm. It is the samatha within the desire realm. The second is the samatha of the form realm, which refers to what we commonly call the first dhyana and above. In this type of meditation, one experiences intense joy, mental, and bliss, physical. In the third dhyana, both body and mind experience intense joy and bliss. From the first to the second and third dhyanas, even the body feels great pleasure. In the first dhyana, the main experience is delight in the mind. This sensation is incomparable to the happiness of the desire realm. The third is the samatha of the formless realm. It refers to the concentrations of the 4 formless heavens, the realm of infinite space, the realm of infinite consciousness, the realm of nothingness, and the realm of neither perception nor non-perception. You may have heard of the realm of neither perception nor non-perception, which is the peak of existence. These are the concentrations of the 4 formless heavens. In this meditation, everything disappears. In the form realm, one can still perceive forms. In the formless heavens, however, forms vanish. All that is perceived is emptiness. The fourth is the samatha of sensation, which is not practiced very much today. In the past, however, some Shravakas of the Hinayana engaged in this practice and reached a state where the mind ceases and mental continuity stops. This concentration, cultivated by the Shravakas, is called the samatha of sensation, not the samatha of no thought. In the second type of samatha, the samatha of the form realm, there is the concentration of no thought, which is practiced in non-Buddhist traditions. This one is a samatha of cessation. Hinayana practitioners can use it to achieve the cessation of mental continuity. Shravakas who have attained realization are able to practice this samatha. These are the 4 types of samatha meditation. More precisely, there are 9 stages of samatha. First, in the desire realm, there is one-pointed samatha. It means the mind can focus single-pointedly on an object. At this stage, although one does not have complete mental stability, one has a certain degree of stability, so the mind is not distracted by external objects. When engaged in an activity, the mind is highly focused. Next is the form realm. There are 4 successive levels of samatha meditation. The second type of samatha mentioned above, the samatha of the form realm, is further divided into 4 levels, from the first dhyana to the 4th dhyana. These 4 successive levels of samatha meditation refer to the 4 concentrations of the form realm, also called the 4 dhyanas, or the 4 meditative absorptions. The meaning is the same, only the names differ. The first is samatha with examination and analysis. The first dhyana involves examination and analysis. The second is samatha with joy and bliss. The second dhyana is free from examination and analysis. Its main characteristic is the absence of examination and analysis, which is the key difference between the first and second dhyanas. The third is samatha with inhalation and exhalation. The third dhyana is free from joy and bliss. Its most notable characteristic is the breath. In the third dhyana, there is still the subtlest breath. If you place a hair by a meditator's nostrils and see it faintly moving, it indicates they are in the third dhyana. If they have entered the 4th dhyana, that hair will not move. This is one way to verify the attainment of the dhyanas. The 4th level is samatha, free from the 8 defects. The 4th dhyana is the stage of stillness. The first 2 defects are the physical suffering of the desire realm and the mental suffering of the desire realm. After eliminating these 2 defects, the meditator enters the first level of samatha in the form realm. You can practice meditative concentration through which you can temporarily be free from the desires of the desire realm. At the very least, those desires will not arise because there is no suffering. You can practice it. Though it is simple, it takes time. The remaining 6 defects belong to the first 3 levels of samatha in the form realm. The first dhyana has analysis and examination. The second dhyana has joy and bliss. And the third dhyana has inhalation and exhalation. In total, there are 8 defects. The fourth dhyana is free from these 8 defects. Freedom from inhalation and exhalation means that in this state one is completely still, without any breathing. There is no joy, bliss, or analysis. One abides in true tranquility. So, there are 4 levels of samatha meditation in the form realm. In the above, we have briefly explained the main characteristics of the 4 levels of samatha in the form realm. The first dhyana has examination and analysis. The second dhyana's primary feature is joy and bliss. The third dhyana has inhalation and exhalation, and because of this, one still has bliss. There are 4 states of meditation in the formless realm, which is a realm like emptiness. It may resemble the realization of emptiness, but it is not. It is not the emptiness taught in the middle way school. It is just a void or blankness in which nothing is perceived or focused on. Many people, upon entering this meditative absorption, believe they have attained enlightenment. During meditation, they suddenly enter a state where nothing is perceived. Everything is empty, and even the self vanishes. After emerging from this state, they claim to have achieved enlightenment. In reality, what they have entered is the samatha of the formless realm. There are 4 stages of samatha in the formless realm, also called the 4 formless concentrations. The first is the samatha of infinite space, in which the mind abides in the blank space, perceiving it as boundless. The second is the samatha of infinite consciousness, where one perceives the mind as boundless. The third is the samatha of nothing whatsoever. In this state, both space and consciousness vanish. It is a deeper level of void. One cannot even perceive one's own consciousness, and the state of nothingness is not distinctly perceivable. In reality, it's not that things don't exist. Rather, things still exist, but they are not as apparent as in the earlier levels of samatha. It is still a state of blankness, but at a deeper level, and the consciousness is subtler than in the previous stages. The fourth is the samatha of neither existence nor non-existence, also called neither perception nor non-perception. We often see this term in sutras. It is the summit of the 3 realms. It is neither existence nor non-existence. The consciousness in this samatha is even emptier than in the samatha of nothing whatsoever. While the samatha of nothing whatsoever is exceedingly empty, this samatha goes further, transcending both perception and non-perception. Altogether, there are 9 stages of samatha meditation, 1 in the desire realm, 4 in the form realm, and 4 in the formless realm. The first level of concentration is the concentration of the desire realm, which simply requires single-pointed focus. Pith instructions for practice. When we practice the Dharma, it is already quite good to reach the Samatha of the desire realm. With this level of concentration, we can contemplate the teachings, delve deeply into the Dharma, and engage in listening, reflecting, and meditating. Some Theravada practitioners are very attached to meditative concentration and insist on reaching the 4th dhyana before meditating on non-self. This approach is very difficult, and we don't need to follow it at our current stage. In fact, it is not necessary to practice up to the 4th dhyana. In the 1st dhyana, where there is still examination and analysis, one can engage in analytical meditation. In this level of concentration, one can meditate on the absence of self because one's examination and analysis are active. After reaching the 2nd dhyana, analytical meditation is no longer possible as the mind becomes still and examination and analysis cease. Beyond the 1st dhyana, for example, after reaching the 4th dhyana, unless one possesses wisdom, such as having already realized non-self, one can directly abide in the state of non-self. From the 2nd dhyana onward, it is no longer possible to engage in analytical or contemplative meditation. Direct realization is required. In the 1st dhyana, analytical meditation is still possible. We should understand these 9 stages of meditative concentration, which are practiced in non-Buddhist traditions, but also adopted on the Buddhist path. However, novice Dharma practitioners should not delve too deeply into this kind of concentration, as the Buddha did not encourage it. When the Buddha first renounced secular life, he also practiced these meditative absorptions, but later abandoned them. Initially, he manifested practicing these 9 stages of samatha until he became emancipated. Later, he discarded this approach and instructed his disciples not to practice in this way, as it is useless. Instead, we should nourish ourselves properly.